one last thing I like to say. The Hospital Association in North Texas has formed an organization they call Group 1, where nurses are blackballed from working. We're put in Group 1. And the hospitals can say whatever it is they want. They can fire you. I was terminated from Methodist. I called in sick and I was told I better come. I was going to be terminated, so I didn't come. I was put in Group 1 for insubordination. Terminated me, said I was insubordinate. And this is happening to many nurses. And they masquerade as a credit reporting bureau. Right. And the hospitals will not allow us to work if we don't sign for them to check our credit. That's what that thing says. But it's Group 1 that they're checking, and they're putting information in Group 1 when you're terminated. If you resign and it's not in a favorable situation, you're put in Group 1. If they terminate you, they put you in Group 1. And the hospitals check Group 1 before they hire you. So a lot of nurses have gone out of the area to find jobs to take care of their families when it's not fair.
Ms. Johnson, I'll give you this, my Valentine to you on behalf of my friend, Ellen Kings. Ellen is a friend of mine and a colleague and a member of NNOC. She was terminated from North Hills Hospital, and when they terminated her, they cut her lock off her locker looking for union paraphernalia or union pamphlets. Now, you have the right to terminate somebody if you want to. That's your right as an employer. But to go in somebody's personal space and their private business and cut the lock off because, quote, the locker belongs to the hospital. And this is what people who care about the sick, how they feel about their own employees. It's pretty sad. And I'm pretty ashamed that my hospital acts that way. They take 2 other employees that were sick, ill, and they terminated them and did not help them, and they lost their health benefits and ended up getting community help going to John Peter Smith. They couldn't get medical care because they were ill. You get ill if you don't have union representation, you're just on your own, and that could be me. You know, it doesn't matter how good a worker you are.
We might want to all pass in our Valentine's.
Congresswoman
late Valentine.
Thank you.
It's just a symbol, of course, but we really mean it.
Well, let me ask you, is there a way that a group can come together and file some kind of class action suit?
Congresswoman, I worked with 4 nurses that was put in Group 1. They hired an attorney. The attorney took their money. They paid him. He said that it was nothing to be done because it was a legal organization, a bureau, because they used the term credit bureau.
They hide behind the credit reporting, federal laws for credit reporting. But they're not really a clearinghouse for employment information.
But
they hide behind it.
But the only thing they have in there, now they verify our education, our licensure, criminal history, but there's nothing credit about it. And this is what they're called. And the paperwork we have to sign says fair credit reporting. I have one at home that I got from Baylor. But this is the way they masquerade to get us to sign the paper for them to check Group 1 to whatever. And all the hospitals, not all, but majority of them in this area are associated with Group
1. They all check Group 1. And Ellen had to go work in Waco. She lives in North Texas. She lives up near Keller and Saginaw, and she has to drive all the way to Waco to the job. Because now that she's been in union organizing, nobody in the hospital area will touch her. And she's a good critical care nurse, one of the best I've ever worked with. I'll give you her home number. You can verify her story if you like.
You know, this has been going on in the trucking industry for years, and that's this way. If you the credit report or the background check that put you on, you know, it just galls, you know.
goes against your constitutional rights.
Well, in the state of Texas, they do not need a reason to terminate you.
Right.
And even if you get a lawyer, the first thing that should, if you're experienced with this, unfortunately she wasn't, the first thing that you should know is if a lawyer in the state of Texas takes money from you to try to get your job back for union organizing, he's either A, a thief, or B, he's pretty positive that he's going to get your job back based on sex, age, religion, or race, because that is the only legal thing that they cannot fire you for in this state. So they can make up stories, and if it's not one of those issues, like myself, you do not get your job back without a huge fight, and that's the dangerous part of it. It's the same with this election process. We've seen the ads from, the Chamber of Commerce, which is one of the biggest groups fighting this. They're telling everybody that if we pass the Employee Free Choice Act, then you will lose your right to a secret ballot, which is not the case. We can file at 30% and have an election, or we can file with a majority who says they want the union, and that's where we want card check. If the majority of the people say we want it, that was our election. We have spoken. We said we want the union. A majority have done it. We bring in a third party to verify those signatures. If you or President Obama or my city council rep, Pauline Medrano, or anybody else in elected officials had to be elected based on the same rules that come for union elections, we'd have nobody running our government because none of you would ever be elected. If we had to depend on, in the airline industry, 50% of all, in the airline industry, if 50% of everybody must sign a card, 50% of you must vote. There's only a way to vote yes on our ballots. If you don't mail your ballot, you're considered a no. If you lose your ballot or the ballot's thrown out, you're counted as a no vote. So that would be the same as saying for you to win, I live in your district, I'm an elections judge, you would have to have 50% of the registered voters actually go out and vote for you in order for you to get elected. That's how this works with the unions, and it's just not fair.
This is why EFCA is so important that we get passed. I know they probably don't have the support for it in the Senate, but
The other thing is the economic standpoint. We need to stay employed. Nobody wants to work against their company as far as production. Everybody wants to work safe, but Congresswoman, we count on you as our representative, and we appreciate what you're doing, but we need you to protect us because we're living in a world of very uncertain times, and we're just asking for you to have an understanding of the importance in unions in our eyes. And I know in the business environment, unions are very frowned upon for whatever reasons, but in our eyes it's a matter of being able to feed our children and have health care for our children and be able to go to work and earn a fair wage for a fair day's work and not put ourselves in harm's way.
So, I am really sorry to interrupt you, but the Congresswoman has other meetings, and maybe we can,
We took a lot more time than
We
we
appreciate your time.
We do.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now, are you organized now, or you're trying to get organized?
We're trying. We're in the process of getting organized. And our nurses are getting terminated as we work on that. When they find out nurses are associated with the National Nursing Organizing Committee, they terminate them.
As short as nurses are in these shifts?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
But then that's where H2B comes in.
They're
They hire right and left.
Congresswoman out, and we'll convene down in the lobby. Thank you.
Thank you.